is political persecution. This is a persecution like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And again, it's a case that should have never been brought. It's an assault on America. And that's why I'm very proud to be here. This is an assault on our country. And it's a country that's failing.
Don't be fooled by the energetic Trump that you see in that video on the first day of the hush money payments trial in New York. Later during the trial, he actually fell asleep. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, some details about the hush money trial, of course, taking place in Manhattan. The case was brought forth by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg over payments that Trump made to keep Stormy Daniels and two others silent through the 2016 presidential election. Now, there was money involved, and what Trump is facing in terms of charges is a little complicated because it's not about him directly making hush money payments. It's about him falsifying documents in order to cover the hush money payments, which, by the way, Michael Cohen has already gone to prison for, and that was Trump's former fix-it attorney, personal attorney. Now, the allegations are that Trump falsified those documents in order to cover up the scandal with Stormy Daniels and others. According to the New York Times, Trump is facing 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, and if convicted, he could spend 4 years in prison. In addition to the payment to Daniels, Bragg's office is expected to highlight two other deals involving the National Enquirer, a tabloid that has a long-standing relationship with Donald Trump. So Karen McDougal, a former Playboy model, was paid $150,000 by the National Enquirer's parent company, American Media Inc., for the rights to her story. AMI promptly did nothing with the story. It's a process known as catch and kill. So they basically bought her story to ensure that it would never be published anywhere. In one deal, the tabloid also bought the silence of a man who had heard that Trump fathered a child out of wedlock, but that was a rumor that turned out to be false. AMI also paid to catch and kill a former Trump Tower doorman story, alleging that Trump had an unacknowledged child, but that allegation has never been corroborated by any reporting. Trump's friend David Pecker, who was then CEO of AMI, okayed the payments. And in regard to the Stormy Daniels situation, so that was where Michael Cohen actually ended up going to prison for making the hush money payment on behalf of Donald Trump. He even mortgaged his home in order to do it. And then he wanted to be reimbursed from Donald Trump, right? So there was a lot of pressure for Trump to do so. He did. There is some evidence with Trump's signature on a check. So we'll get to those details in just a moment. But Stormy Daniels was paid $130,000 by Michael Cohen to sign a non-disclosure agreement about her encounters with Trump. Cohen obtained a line of credit on his home to make the payment just before the election. After the election, Trump's company paid Cohen back for the payment to Daniels. And I should note that Michael Cohen went to prison because the hush money payment that he made to Stormy Daniels was considered an illegal campaign contribution to Trump.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you. This case deeply frustrates me for two reasons. Number one, almost everybody in the media is saying, well, it's a weak case. So I mean, he's almost definitely going to be convicted. Wait, make up your mind. Is it a weak case or he's definitely going to be convicted? So the reality is, no, it's a very strong case. That's why they think he's going to be convicted. The reason they say things along those lines or say that it shouldn't have been brought up is because they feel like, oh, come on, he's the president. Are we gonna just prosecute him for breaking the law on something like illegal campaign contributions? Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to apply the law. And if you're wondering, hey, is this a law that makes sense? Absolutely. If you don't have this law, pick any example, but let's say Iran can go, okay, yes, Michael Cohen made payments to that campaign. It wasn't Iran. Okay, David Pecker made those payments. It wasn't Iran. Oh, look at that. We just spent $100 million buying all of your politicians. Now they work for us, but it's okay. It wasn't us. It was Michael Cohen and David Pecker and other people. There's a very, very good reason for this law. Many people go to prison for violating this law, including Dinesh D'Souza, in essence, and Michael Cohen. And why did Michael Cohen go to prison? For this exact crime with Donald Trump. That was his co-conspirator.
Okay, I have to ask you a question because I genuinely don't know, and it's a legal question that you might have a little more clarity on. So look, this is the Manhattan District Attorney, okay? This is a case that's playing out in Manhattan over, I believe, a federal crime. So why is it that the special counsel didn't pursue this on a federal level, and instead you have Alvin Bragg and the state of New York pursuing this prosecution?
So Alvin Bragg could have pursued it in the beginning too. But now the reason why it's in New York, because the crime that he's being charged with is falsifying his business records, which is a local New York crime. So wait, what happened to the illegal campaign contributions? That has a statute of limitations of 5 years. That's why, I don't know if any of you will remember, but if you're a Young Turks, regular Young Turks viewer, you saw me in the past ripping into Alvin Bragg, the same prosecutor.
I remember that, yep.
For not bringing the charges earlier. I'm like, why aren't you bringing the charges? Michael Cohen's already in prison for this crime. Trump is his co-conspirator. Bring the goddamn charges, right? And he wouldn't do it, And just like all the other prosecutors, and this is where MAGA has a point. All of a sudden, magically, 2.5 years after Biden took over, and just when you start the trials then, they'll definitely be in the middle of the campaign. All of a sudden, all the prosecutors bring all these charges, right? So it's not that they're not crimes, they're definitely crimes, right? So people in media, please stop being so irresponsible by pretending that these aren't really important crimes that no one should be above the law on. On the other hand, also be responsible in pointing out, so the prosecutor in Fulton County and in New York and at the federal level all decided to pursue charges at about the same time. That is weird. It wouldn't be weird if Trump gets out of office and they all pursue charges. That's a logical time, right? But they all wait 2.5 years. So I get the frustration from the right wing. Why now? But guys, but if you're right wingers, sorry, Anna, one more thing. If you're right wingers though, you shouldn't just be angry about the timing. You should also be angry that Donald Trump was one of the elites who was gonna get away with it if he didn't run for president again. I don't think Bragg or I'm not sure what the others would have done, right? Merrick Garland, that pathetic, weakling. You think he would have brought charges against an ex-president? He's in the elite protection racket. And Trump was one of the elites, and he's still one of the elites. So for MAGA to go, no, our guy should be above the law and he should get to break any law he likes. And remember, he's one of the elites, so that's okay. No, it's not okay. And that is not a populist position. So both of those things are true, that he should definitely be convicted here and they should have brought the charges earlier.
But okay, so I hear what you're saying about Bragg, but why wasn't there a federal case?
Because Merrick Garland's a loser.
No, I totally agree with you on that. But couldn't a special counsel come in and?
No, but Merrick Garland has to appoint a special counsel.
So on a federal level, they just decided to drop this, and that's when Alvin Bragg decided to, okay, well, I agree with you in that there is evidence that shows the crime was committed. So there's the legal component, and then there's the optical or the optics, the political optics of this. And what I worry about is when it comes to the indictments Trump is facing, I think the priorities are the fake elector scheme, number one, and then the classified documents case.
Yeah.
And I worry that the financial fraud case and that this case just make it so abundantly clear that what the prosecution's trying to do is politically motivated.
Look, again, two different things, guys. So if you say to me, of the 4 cases, what are the 2 that are most important? Not close. Definitely trying to steal the election through fake electors. And by the way, we should have that trial. And if you're MAGA, you should want that trial. So you can find out, did he or didn't he? Because if he didn't and you guys have the evidence, you can shut me up for good, right? Oh, and then you go, hey, look, they had a chance to prove it in court and they couldn't do it, right? Did he have fake electors? Did he try a coup or didn't he? The whole country should know that. That's why they should have brought the case immediately so we could know by now.
Right.
Right, guilty or innocent, right? And the national documents, what is he taking Iran's defensive vulnerabilities and nuclear secrets home for? Come on, guys, you're a schmuck if you don't think he was trying to sell it. Anyways, those are massively important politically and legally. These are, this one and the fraud case that was a civil case, he still did it. He's still wrong, right? Yes. But are they world-shattering cases? No, they're not world-shattering cases, but that doesn't mean he's innocent.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Okay, so let's talk about how the trial is looking so far. As I mentioned, today was the first day of the trial, and they were basically doing jury selection. Now, the trial is gonna have some interesting potential witnesses coming to the stand. The prosecution's witness list is expected to include David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer, as well as Hope Hicks, a former aide to Trump. Daniels and McDougal could also testify. Other potential witnesses include Steve Bannon, Rudy Giuliani, Melania Trump, and Jared Kushner. Doesn't mean that they're definitely going to testify and take the stand. It just means that they're potential witnesses. Trump already has issues with the judge overseeing the trial, which should come as no surprise to anyone. Trump has twice sought Justice Juan M. Merchan's recusal, citing his daughter's work as a Democratic political consultant. The judge has declined to step aside, noting a ruling by a judicial ethics commission that found his daughter's work posed no conflict for him. But the judge has also made some decisions that are favorable to Trump. So I think it's important to point that out. The judge rejected a request by prosecutors to introduce accusations of sexual assault that women lodged against Trump years ago, calling them rumors and complete gossip. So, I think that shows that he's being fair in how he's overseeing this case. And today was the first day of the trial and jury selection took place, which was fascinating. Jury selection, by the way, is expected to take up to 2 weeks, maybe even more. And it's really difficult to find jurors who are willing to be impartial. And to really emphasize that point, of the 96 possible jurors brought into the room today, more than 50 raised their hands to say they couldn't be fair. They were immediately excused, obviously. And despite this being the first day of the trial, and despite the tantrums that Trump engaged in leading up to this day, apparently the proceedings were incredibly boring for Trump. Let's watch.
Well, Jake, he appeared to be asleep, and repeatedly his head would fall down. There have been other moments in other trials, like the Agent Carroll trial, which was around the corner in January, where he appeared very still and seemed as if he might be sleeping, but then he would move. This time, he didn't pay attention to a note that his lawyer Todd Blanche passed him. His jaw kept falling on his chest, and his mouth kept going slack. Now, sometimes people do fall asleep during court proceedings, but it's notable given the intensity of this morning.
Above the law privilege, man. I can't imagine being on trial and falling asleep during the trial. Like, I can't imagine that. I literally can't. My heart would be racing the entire time.
Yeah, I hear you, but look, it's not surprising given that he does post like a madman at 3 in the morning. So he's clearly has some sleep issues, and him not paying attention is Trump 101. You could pass him nuclear secrets and he wouldn't pay attention, other than if he was going to steal them. So guys, the anger at the judge makes no sense at all. The judge has been nothing but fair. Like, are you saying like Trump that, Trump should be able to threaten the judge's daughter and that the judge shouldn't do anything about that? That's absurd, right? I can understand being angry about Alvin Bragg and when he brought the charges. I can't understand being angry at the judge other than just being an irrational Trump fanboy. But if you want to have at it, go ahead, it's a free country. Last thing for me is Hope Hicks and David Pecker could be really interesting. The Steve Bannons of the world are not going to be interesting witnesses. They're going to stick with Trump, and that's written in stone. But Pecker's a longtime friend of his, and let's just acknowledge that that's a funny name, especially in the context of this story, right?
Fantastic.
But how the Pecker turns is going to be very relevant, okay? And Hope Hicks is a very long time ally of Donald Trump, but it is not clear that she is still an ally. So her testimony will be one to watch out for and could be devastating to Trump, but we don't know yet.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members, because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us, become a young Turk.